Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen, the channel that brings you all the latest news from Glasgow Rangers, from Rangers FC, one of the greatest team in the world. Well, news has broke in the last few moments that Scott Wright could well be on his way out of Ibrox. Yes, that's right, Scott Wright, the winger who we purchased from Aberdeen. Scott, who has made 84 appearances and scored 8 goals for the club. One of those appearances coming in the Europa League final, obviously not last season, but the season before last. Feels weird saying that, doesn't it? That Europa League run is no longer last season, it's the season before last. Very strange indeed. But it does appear that Scott Wright could now be on the move. Now, Scott was allegedly going to go to Preston North End, but however, that move fell through over wages and obviously transfer fee as well. However, now it appears that he could well be joining Ryan Kent in Turkey. No, not at Fenerbahce, but at a newly promoted Turkish Super League club. According to reports that have been tweeted out by a number of sources, including Heart and Hand. So, it's probably going to be true if Heart and Hand, obviously, who have links to the club, are tweeting it out. Pendikspor, yes, I've never heard of them either, have just been promoted to the Turkish Super League and are obviously looking to strengthen their team for a tilt at the staying in the Turkish Super League. And it is reported that they have had a bid of 500,000 for Scott Wright accepted by the club. According to reports, Scott has now flown out to Istanbul. That's where Pendik is, apparently a suburb or an area of Istanbul. And he has flown out there to have negotiations now with the club to try and rubber stamp that deal that will see Wright join the Turkish Super League club, Pendikspor. So, if this is true, this would certainly represent a good piece of business for Rangers. We do need to obviously move players on. We do need to trim this squad, trim this wage bill. A £500,000 income would take obviously to £4 million, the amount of money that we brought in to the club, and may also support the purchase of Danilo and maybe even Cifuentes long term as well. But it does seem that Scott is on his way out. Scott has been a good servant for the club. He's played his part. Obviously, never really made the breakthrough I think he would have hoped to have made upon joining Rangers from Aberdeen. I think he would have seen this as his big opportunity to really impress, to really move up. To play for one of the biggest teams in European football in Rangers. However, Scott, whilst he has worked hard, he's done what's been asked of him. He contributed well in the Europa League run through, when obviously injuries gave him his opportunity. But I don't think he's never ever been able to nail down a place. And I think he was going to find it increasingly hard to find any game time or even time on the bench this season, given the strengthening that has gone on of this Rangers team with the likes of obviously Dowell and Seamer and Lammers and forward players like that arriving. As Barry Ferguson himself said this morning, the number of players competing for those 4 spots is now at 9. It is going to be a very difficult job for Scott to get into the team. So at the end of the day, this is the right move for Scott, the right move for the team. And obviously now we just need to wait and see if this move is finalised, and obviously if the funds are then obviously paid to Rangers, and if there can be an agreement on salary and etc. with Scott. But we do wish Scott all the best if this is the move that goes through. It does seem very, very much so that this is on the cards. Scott Wright to Pendikspor of the Turkish Super League. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for watching. As always, guys, please hit that like, and always remember, we are the people.